All right. I guess maybe we should start with people joining. Thank you everyone for the time today. Today I just took some topic related to the future of the value transfer, and this also includes some of the survey as well as the I would like to also introduce about the GTX. So please, Ramon and everyone, please feel free to jump in. This is like a free discussion, which we would like to talk about the innovation in the finance space. So today, yeah, so let me just quickly go over just a quick snapshot about the blockchain survey, which was done by Deloitte, and also the future of the value transfer. So the blockchain survey that was done this year, and this is related to the digital asset. We found that this about 76% of the respondents believe this digital asset will serve like a strong alternative as the replacement of the fiat currency for the next 5 to 10 years. And in terms of the role, this is the survey that we've done for the FSI. If you look at here, what they're seeing right now is the new role seeing in the custody of the digital asset, which I started to actually see some of the players like also the trust banks, and some of the global trust banks are also started to do is the custody of the digital asset. Also in terms of the payment channels, and the other type of decentralized schemes are seeing for the financing industry overall for the incumbent players. I guess the obstacle, this is something that we see in various parts, is of course the regulatory barriers, which takes time in terms of starting the business, which I'm sure Ramon can also share about some of the challenges in terms of the regulatory aspect, as well as some of the cybersecurity. Also privacy. These are the things that was answered as the barriers. In terms of the value transfer, this is also some of the recent report that was out, and let me just, okay. So what we see is that with the customers increasingly recognizing the value of the activity and the data generation, that they will more depend on the power to create, also creating and capturing, and the transferring of the value is required from various aspects. So here you see in the diagram, you see a lot of empowerment in the customer. So what's happening right now is that the more what's needed is that more value needs to be created with the decentralization in the financial industries, and also when we consider about the regulatory framework as well. So in terms of the value transfer, this is also challenging in terms of the regulation as well, which focus is now toward the purpose-led regulation, in addition to the organization structure as well. So I think the moving forward is that having a effective virtuous circle, which I think in the Stanford LEAD program that we talk about, on the strategic leadership I think we worked on, this framework will be something quite effective on designing when we think about the transfer of ecosystem as well. So what can okay, financial institution do? So this is, I just taken some of the example recently, just last week, which SocGen had applied for the MakerDAO, which is a decentralized organization, loan-backed bond as collateral. This a little bit complicated structure, but the whole idea is that I just want to share that there are some attempts by incumbent players to create a new role in this decentralized finance as well. So yes, so and this is actually, I would like to pass the mic to Ramon about this great initiative, and also thanks to the previous discussion which you introduced about this Baton initiative. So Ramon, I'll hand over the mic to you.
Yeah, I'm sorry I got cut off for a short while, but
like okay.
Said, what I wanted to do was introduce you to the type of issuers that are coming. And again, I'd like to tap you guys early on. We're looking for a number of things. We're looking for partners such as yourselves, who one can bring and direct talent to us, because we are trying to be an open platform. And we realize that the Philippines itself, the depth will not be there in terms of the talent that we need to scale this. So we're going around the world. So one of our financial advisors, if you look at his name on LinkedIn, is a guy by the name of Steve McNew. He's from FTI, services Fortune 150 companies, has been an expert witness on over 30 blockchain cases and crypto cases, and is the advisory for Texas on their blockchain initiatives. So he's also working with us on this project, and is a big believer in what we're doing, and believes that the legal basis, as you can see, as the world starts to regulate this, your legal basis will be a critical success factor. What we're looking also are those that you have networks, your own ideas, your own creativity, where you may have broker dealers or those who want to become broker dealers or issuers. And I had such an interesting conversation led with Jin, and Jin should tell you some of the people he's talking about who are trying to do similar things from Singapore, and the type of companies that are actually applying to list. And they run the gamut of Twisted, which is based out of Austin. They want to acquire a roll-up of all EV manufacturers and do their battery manufacturing in the Philippines using GTX to raise the money to put their factory to service the Asian region on a tax-free basis. You've got a sovereign country that is raising and contributing about 1 million hectares of land in their country for global food security production. And it will be under the MOU between that country and the Republic of the Philippines. You've got people who are doing NFTs from high net worth and performing artists, actors, singers, and painters. Some of the Philippine art scene are actually being sold in Christie's at auction in Singapore, and some have been reaching multi-million-dollar valuations. So wow. this transition of value, as you had put in your Deloitte report, is really happening. And what we're seeing here is the resistance from the ingrained legacy people, right? So if they can influence the regulation to block this innovation, that's what they're trying to do now, because we are actually attacking systems that have been in place for trust entities. And that's what blockchain and crypto are basically attacking right now. So Jin, would you like to highlight some of the other issuers that have to us, maybe put an idea in some of the people's context and framework that maybe their networks also may like to come with us and collaborate with us? Is Jin here? Marco, is Jin there?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah, you can just allow me to please allow me to clean
All right.
my screen.
Oh, okay, okay. Do you want to share the screen? Sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Hold on a minute. Yeah. Here we go.
Yeah, so just to give you an idea of you know, what's in our pipeline at the moment, and this is a live pipeline. Share this with you. There you go. So there are 3 stages to go through before you launch. As you can see, we have everything from NFTs to token funds, smart cities, commodities, gold, social tokens, agritech, EVIs, health tech, tourism, wine futures, another smart city, lending, and an investment fund. So the total pipeline is around 3.045 billion at the moment. What's taking it a bit longer is what we're doing right now is we're determining whether the launch should be a security token or a utility token or both. And then with that, we'll be listing them in the exchange. So the first one was already launched. We're testing that out. And then once it stabilizes, all the rest will just follow afterwards. Some of them are quite common, and some are more cutting edge and requires a little bit more innovation. So yeah, Roman, did you want me to share the entire deck with everybody insofar as what we've done? As far as,
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
That would be fantastic.
Yeah, so just to share a background and at least how the history of the company and how it started out. My background is mostly in banking and entrepreneurship. So I've done 6 startups in my early years, and I did 2 exits. After that, I joined the bank, which is Union Bank. It is the largest digital bank in the Philippines. It's number 5 in terms of size, but number 1 in terms of profit, due to its digital focus. But at the time I joined, it didn't have any digital asset strategy. In fact, the word blockchain was not even a word at that time. When first time I presented, I had to come up with a definition of blockchain, and believe it or not, this was in 2017. The good thing is I had the support of the chairman, and we took him around the world for around 6 months to gain exposure into digital assets, DLT, and blockchain. And at 2018, was 2017, somewhere there, late 2017, I did the digital asset strategy that led to the first bank-backed stablecoin to be issued in the planet. Actually, it's the first one to officially be approved is by the Bangko Sentral of the Philippines, the Central Bank of the Philippines. We also did custody as a service, and this is as a universal bank. You know, we did the first bond on the blockchain. We did cross-border remittance and domestic remittance in partnership with Consensus. And it was all a success, but the biggest problem I had, and that we had by far, was regulation. And it wasn't so much that regulation was not willing to learn and implement, it's just that they didn't understand what it is. And how can you teach someone to regulate you if they don't understand even what the technology is or what impact it can bring? And the hard thing about that was 80% of all projects that was proposed was taken down. And now that 80%, possibly half, really ended up being a product, and a product which was pretty much half baked. And it didn't have the cutting edge technology that would have made a huge difference, right? So that's why Ramon and I had the discussion, and Ramon co-drafted the law, which was Republic Act 11453. So the way to understand it is, I think something's wrong here. Just there it is. Okay. RA 114553. So the way to think about it is eco zones or free ports allow the exchange and trade of goods in a tax-free environment. What the law then allows is for the exchange and trade of digital assets in a tax-free environment. And the eco zone that launched this or that sponsored it is the oldest eco zone in the Philippines. And I don't know if you know this, but the Philippines is the largest democratic country that houses the most eco zones in the planet. Number one is China, but as you know, China has some issues at the moment. But the Philippines is the largest democratic country, and it takes the lion's share. So China, out of 5,400 eco zones around the world, China has around 1,200, and Philippines has somewhere in the range of around 560. Next in line has around 100 or less after that. And globally, we're adding somewhere in the range of 800 eco zones per year, right? That's globally, but the Philippines is consistent in its number one status. The reason why the Philippines is number one is its structure. It's the only country that has that has the eco zone directly reporting to the office of the president and not to the SEC or the central bank. So what that means is, as long as we follow specific rules, we can function as the SEC and the central bank, serving only foreign clients. So leveraging on that and refining on that policy, we extended the law to allow for the exchange and trade of goods to the exchange and trade of digital assets. And in 2020, the law, the implementing rules and regulations was passed by FAB, the Freeport Authority of Bataan. Truth be told, Ramon also drafted this as well with the team. And it was structured to cater to new technologies that would be coming out specifically in the field of blockchain and DeFi. So after drafting that, we then said and negotiated with the government a means by which all of the projects that were in these priority areas could list in an exchange, but they needed to be able to list in a regulation light to regulation free zone. You didn't want to end up in a situation like with Binance or FTX or one of those larger exchanges that one day you lose your license or you're kicked out or you have to move out, right? Due to regulation. The technology part's easy. The regulatory side, that's the hard part, because you have to get everybody's cooperation to come up with a regulation. And normally regulation, once it comes out, it's reactive, it's not proactive. So RA 11453 led to AFAB structuring the implementing rules and regulations, and iWave Advanced Research Group doing business as Global Trade X got a 8-year exclusive license and a perpetual license thereafter to represent Bataan as the largest eco zone that would allow for the listing of assets, the exchange of assets, and the custody of assets under the regulatory protection of Bataan. Okay, now, so what's in the mandate? So you might think, okay, it might just be an exchange. It's not even just an exchange, because the mandate is very specific to what we want to do. We want to establish a technology-enabled ecosystem in Bataan. We want to establish a source of capital, a source of credit, and we want to be able to do it in a DeFi, CeFi, decentralized and centralized and DApp-enabled environment. And we even went down to specifying governance tokens, liquidity tokens, decentralized and financial platforms, and the likes. In fact, it covers all of these fields. So through the license and through the mandate, we're allowed to engage in commodities, currencies, funding protocols, interest-bearing coins, investment trust, investment vehicles, smart bonds, stable coins, staking. We can do NFTs, membership tokens, participation tokens. We can do AMMs. We can operate decentralized and centralized exchanges. It recognizes decentralized autonomous organizations. or DAOs. We can do derivatives and prediction markets, digital asset issuance platforms, exchange aggregation, margin trading, options trading, perpetual contracts trading. And the reason why we got all of this was, it was too difficult for us to approach one regulator after another. And it would take years before you'd be able to launch. So we just said, okay, may we request a blanket regulation for all of these new technologies, and we will partner or use third-party service or develop internally, right? Proven technologies that's already being launched in other countries, right? And we got the approval for it. And we got the approval to implement these services into these industries as priority industries. So as long as you're in any of these priority industries, we can fast track your launch in the exchange. So people ask, why is Bataan doing this? Why is the largest ecozone? And mind you, when I say the largest, it is twice the size of Singapore. To give you some context, it's 1,300 square kilometers in size. It's twice the size of Metro Manila. And it only has 770,000 people living there. So there's a reason why Bataan gave that to us. Right now, if looking at the bigger picture, Metro Manila, this is Metro Manila. It's at the heart of the Philippines. And Metro Manila has 25 million people. The average car speed is around 6 to 7 kilometers per hour. It's really slow, highly dense. You have around 3 million slum areas, 3 million people who live in slum areas. And there's really no place to go. People are literally living on top of each other in Metro Manila. And 70% of the export comes from the Calabarzon area, which is here. And it takes around 6 hours to go to the port and another 6 hours by boat to go into the Belt and Road. So fuel time by car and by boat is quite expensive, right? In addition to that, this accounts for around more than half of the country's GDP. So, for export, there's travel time that's occurring right now, but there's a bridge that's being built here, which is the Bataan-Cavite Bridge. It's a 35-kilometer bridge that will now cut travel time from 6 hours to 35 minutes to go to this port. And it'll cut another 6 hours of boat time, saving tons of travel expenses for anyone that is in export, the 70% of which comes from Calabarzon. So, and what makes this port unique is it is one of 3 deep sea ports that can take super yachts, Panamax and new Panamax ships in the Asian region. In addition to that, once the bridge is built, it now makes around 5 airports, international airports, within an hour to 2 hours away. And it locates itself beside 7 of the largest ecozones in the Philippines, which is here in Bataan. In addition to that, the entire province of Bataan, which is 300 square kilometers, can opt in to be part and be under the authority of the Freeport area of Bataan. The entire area can be the Freeport. So Bataan is just like any other ecozone. Okay, what an ecozone is think of it as an area with its own unique laws, right? And it has immigration functions. It has all government functions, except it functions independently, and it can expedite all of these processes. So you don't have to spend 6 months to get approval. You can actually get approval within a week or within a day for immigration, if not. So under the law, what's our larger objective? Well, we want to facilitate the migration of tokenized value. And we want to be able to apply it in commodities, gold, physical money, securities, real estate, derivatives. And we want to be able to digitize the asset, launch the market, manage the asset, and facilitate the exchange of the asset. And we want to be able to do this by offering a special package, because if you want to facilitate the migration of tokenized value, we have to now create a package that would be compelling enough for people to be able to list in the exchange. If you go to an existing securities exchange, you have access to capital, well and good. If you go to an ecozone, you have access to tax incentives, you get somewhat regulatory cover depending on where you go. But what we want is to offer a complete package. So what does that complete package look like? Well, if you list in the exchange, yes, you do get access to capital. Our liquidity pools account for around about 20 to 30% of spot in the crypto market. So that's around 4.5, 4.6 trillion that we can access. And then we also have access to, we provide access to credit. So when somebody lists in the exchange and somebody purchases the asset, they can borrow against the asset up to 90% of its value. So your exposure can be cut down from, let's say, $1 million, you can cut it down to around 100,000. In terms of, and you have access to liquidity, you also have a wide range of assets that you can port in and out of. Right now, we have around 500 assets listed in the exchange. Mostly are focused on crypto. We also have fiat channels with 12 different countries, as well as we're building right now a broker-dealer network. We have around 200 licenses that we have authorized. We are authorized to be able to provide throughout the world. Now, this is common in an exchange and in a financial institution, you know. But in partnership with Bataan, the package completes itself. Not only do you get to get access to capital and credit and liquidity to match, but you also get tax incentives. So you cut your cost from 32% tax to 0. And that's 0 in the first 5 years, 2 to 5% in the next 10 years, and then tax normalizes after that. What people normally do is on the 5th year, they just set up another company and transfer the assets, so they maintain 0 tax. It's normal in the Philippines. Plus, you also get regulatory cover. So think of countries that don't have clear regulation, and think of countries that don't have regulation, right? And think of countries that have very stringent regulation. What AFAB does is it gives a regulation-light environment and grants you the authority to be able to operate, so that it gives you time to be able to raise funds, operate, serving all the other countries that you're allowed to serve under AFAB license, except for the Philippines. And upon such time, you can process your license in your respective jurisdictions. We only have 3 restrictions in the exchange, as mentioned a while ago. First restriction is we cannot serve any Filipino. No Filipino can invest in our exchange or purchase any asset in the exchange. If he does, then we fall under the SEC. We also cannot list any Philippine company. That doesn't mean that a Philippine company cannot set up a foreign entity, right? Which they can, and technically they can list in our exchange in that situation. We also cannot deal in any Philippine pesos, because if we do, then we will fall under the jurisdiction of the central bank. So given those 3, we are able to operate as an exchange, and we are able to operate within our mandate. So how's the exchange structured? It's quite simple. It's a world book that connects via API to various exchanges. So we can connect the securities exchange to crypto exchange, to commodities, futures, options, derivatives between 2 different jurisdictions. And what we do is we accredit custodians in each country to be able to hold on to the physical asset and attest to the asset, which is then tokenized and then allowed to be traded between jurisdictions through our exchange. The listing process is also quite simple. So aside from it offering all those benefits, to be able to list in the exchange can be anywhere from 4 weeks to 8 weeks, depending if it's a utility token or a security token. Although if you're incomplete in your requirements, it can take up to 3 times the length of time. However, if you're complete, you're efficient, yes, you can do it quite quickly. So we send you a very simple deck. So the process is just 3 steps. We send you the starter kit, which has the NDA. You sign the NDA, and you approve an assessment agreement. So for a small amount, you send us all of the material. We then take it through our specialists, who then assess your project or your company or whatever it is that you're trying to achieve, right? Or what you're trying to raise. And what they do is we have a grading system that gives you at the end either a thumbs up or a thumbs down, right? In order to be able to list. If you're approved for listing, it takes another 2 weeks to be able to structure your listing in the exchange, and after which we can launch it. So if it's a utility token, it can be 4 weeks. Security can be 8 weeks. The difference is for a security token, we have to set up a special purpose vehicle to allow you to be able to list in the exchange as a security token. So how does that look, and what's the structure for the STO? It's quite simple. We have a investment holding company out of Singapore that partners with your issuing company or sets up a joint venture with your issuing company in order to set up an SPV or a special purpose vehicle. The SPV then assigns the rights to the asset, specifically its shares, right, to a trust, of which under a token issuing contract assigns the beneficiary as the issuing company. The token issuing company will then issue the tokens backed by the SPV's shares and then hands it over to the issuing company. The issuing company then hands over the tokenized shares to the exchange, after which the exchange exposes it to the user. Now, the user has several capabilities. Once they purchase the asset, first they can buy and sell it, right? Vis-a-vis 500 other assets. The second thing they can do with it is they can stake it. They can lock it in for a specific period of time, provide liquidity to the exchange, and they earn yield on that particular asset. The third thing is they can borrow against it. Right? And borrowing against it is invisible. The moment you have the asset, you already are given the credit line that you can borrow with the asset that's going to be held as collateral. We basically have 3 phases in a launch. So you can do a private sale, a pre-sale, and a public sale, after which the token is listed in the exchange. The whole process, as mentioned, is anywhere from 4 to 8 weeks to be able to launch this. For this thing to complete, it can be anywhere from 1 month to 6 months. Yeah, so I guess that's pretty much who we are and what we do. We'd be happy to answer any questions should you have any.
Thank you. It's again, it's really inspiring to hear very clear process in terms of the security token and utility token. And actually, I'm quite curious to see, you know, in terms of the industry that the company are applying. I saw various industry. Do you have like does Bataan have specific industry that they would like to invite, or does GTX look for specific kind of industry that you prefer? I mean, considering that, you know, they're creating a smart city moving forward. Any thoughts around?
Well, for us to be able to see, when somebody approaches us asking to list, what we do is we let the inquiries lead the direction where we're going. Because in terms of specialists, we just assign it to a specialist that is able to provide assessment to that particular industry or that particular project. If we don't have it within our existing network, we most probably have somebody that will be able to assess it properly and guide the project to be able to launch, and has the broker dealers and has the investors who would be interested into that particular project. So these are the ones that we are entertaining at the moment. As you can see, it's a little bit of a wide range. We just got one of the larger insurance companies here in the Philippines that was interested. So they're sending their mandate by tomorrow. So that just adds another one, which is not in the list that we have over here, right? But we're confident that we can list that. We'll be able to raise funds simply because the project actually is pretty cool, you know.
Yeah,
and the project is pretty cool, and the existing investors that we have, they'll understand it, right? Even if we don't specialize in it. As you can see over here, there's two things, which is like 2 smart cities. In fact, the smart city, actually, we have 3 smart cities. This Agritech is a smart city on its own also.
okay.
Classified as Agritech. So smart cities, we have like 3 different ways of approaching it. Anywhere from direct listing to discount vouchers for 40% of the future development, right, in the form of tokens that's to be sold to foreign nationals. And by you investing in that, it gains you residency. So you can invest $75,000, and by you investing $75,000 in a discount token that gets you a 99% discount into any development in the smart city, you are able to now get an investor visa to enter the Philippines, for instance, right? And with that, you also get the privilege to be able to submit your company for tax-free operation. Right? So it's in terms of what we specialize in. We list you. We expose your asset to the public, and we make it available in 2 forms, which is a utility token and security token. And you probably know the investors that you'd be interested in taking in. If we have the people that can assist you, we provide it to you. But the most important part is you're able to list your asset, right? Because if you go through any other regulator in any other country, you probably go through a year, 2 years. Most would not meet the requirements, but with us, it's fairly easy to be able to do so. And you get the cover to match. Plus, you also get the tax-free incentives. And you get an investor network that would gladly take a look at what you have to offer. Right?
Okay. So, okay,
very
interesting. Go ahead.
I think as an offset on the smart city, you'll find, I know, let's say if you're familiar with Singapore, right? You have freehold and you have a freehold and 99-year lease. And places like some of these, where these eco zones are, our country or other countries, the value is really cannot be unlocked even if you have the assets, because they don't allow foreigners to own land. And therefore, you must have heard the term nomad capitalist, right? Which COVID has really taught us that you can really work from anywhere in the world. Well, we've kind of solved that by issuing basically tokens that represent everything, including ownership. And therefore, you trade the tokens, you trade the rights to those land, but you never broke the law of the country in terms of foreign ownership. But all of the uses and rights of those land, including transfer in a sense of replacement of title, has been tokenized without breaking the law of the land. And that makes it a very interesting unlocking of value in the country. So it's a really attractive thing to a lot of people. And you won't believe the number of people from China, as well as actually the US and the Northern Europe, who want to take advantage of that. They don't really need a Philippine licensing regulatory authority to issue a title in their name, but they just want the use of it and the ability to unlock the value of it. And that's what we've been able to achieve now.
So can I understand about this? For example, we have this 3 different smart city as on a pipeline. Is it within the Bataan, there's like a various smart city project?
I was going to show you right now. Yeah, would you like me to give you a look on one of them?
Yeah, that's great. Yeah.
So this one it's smart city plus a bigger picture that we want to be able to achieve. Hence, the reason why we called it Oz Emerald City. There's a reason why we called it Oz. So this gives you an idea of the project.
The province of Bataan has become a destination for various domestic and multinational industrial companies. It has the lowest poverty rate, the lowest incidence of crime, as well as having the lowest cost and readily available utilities in the country. The passage of the Republic Act number 11453 has further strengthened the powers and functions of the Freeport area of Bataan. This game-changing law has allowed for the expansion in underdeveloped areas in the province. This proposed 495-hectare development will be an amalgamation of parcels of land owned by the Bataan Baseco Joint Venture Incorporated, the Freeport area of Bataan, and a 95-hectare reclamation of Mariveles and Sisiman Bay. This mixed-use development is designed to address the rapid economic growth and increasing population of the province. With many large local and foreign companies needing more space to establish new facilities in the province, these lands can be converted into special economic and freeport zones as mandated by the new law. The projected substantial increase of employment attracting internal migration will exacerbate the housing needs of Bataan. Therefore, new, well-planned and accessible, self-sustaining eco-communities are needed to respond to these challenges. Located in the mouth of Mariveles Bay, the development will have over 20,000 well-planned, socialized and affordable housing units, a new fisherman's wharf, industrial lands, logistics centers, recreational facilities, schools, transportation hub, community centers, retail commercial establishments, offices, a medical center, and a central business district with a unique waterfront residential development integrated in a marina and yacht club. The project site has an armor rock foundation, making it relatively safe from earthquakes. Hence, Bataan was chosen as the site of the defunct nuclear power plant at Naput Point, Morong. The reclaimed area will be the site for a new international port terminal that will be designed to augment the existing Port of Manila and envisioned to decongest the traffic issues at the National Capital Region. The Bataan Baseco International Port Terminal will have an initial capacity of 3 million TEUs and be expandable to 4.8 million TEUs. Planned to be efficiently managed by the same operators as the Port of Manila, the deep seaport is intended to accommodate Panamax and new Panamax cargo ships. This state-of-the-art container port will also be a transshipment point where feeder vessels would be able to transport cargo to various ports in the Philippines as well as neighboring countries. With the Philippines being part of the route in China's New Silk Road, the strategic location of the international port will provide convenient accessibility that will open up unprecedented opportunity for the country in China's massive Belt and Road Initiative, which extends to 65 countries globally. The development is easily accessible through the proposed bypass bridge and tunnel of the Department of Public Works and Highways from the 8-lane Roman Highway. It is strategically located, being close to the main access of the proposed Bataan-Cavite Interlink Bridge. This NEDA-approved 32-kilometer bridge across Manila Bay will directly connect Regions 3 and 4, bypassing the National Capital Region. The Bataan Baseco Township and Seaport is planned to be one of the most iconic and modern net-zero urban communities in Asia. Net zero buildings or zero carbon buildings are highly energy efficient structures with zero net energy consumption, where the total amount of energy used by the building on an annual basis is roughly equal to the amount of renewable energy created on the site.
So that's Bataan Baseco, which we call Oz Emerald City. And the raise for this project, so this is a study, the total raise for the project is over here. So it's around 940 million. And so when we had a discussion with them for this particular amount that we had to come up with, I mean, it's a larger amount, but we needed to be able to structure it to the crypto market. So the way we're working on it right now is for future, because foreigners cannot own land in the Philippines, but they can own improvements to land, and they can own up to 40% of it. So what we did was we took 40%, or we're taking 40% of future development in order to be able to raise that 1 billion. And looking at that, we're taking residential, commercial, and industrial properties, calculating the total number of square meters that's going to be developed based on the plan that was given, and costing out on a per square meter basis, what 1 square meter would cost pre-city development. So you'd be able to buy it, in this case, for residential at $204 per square meter, so to speak. Once the foundation is built and a developer comes in and then offers the building on pre-sale, your discount vouchers now can be used to get a 99% off on the pre-sale of titles and condo units. So at that price, the value now per square meter would be around $408 per square meter. And once ready for occupancy, would be around $800 per square meter. Right. So this would be in a spread of roughly in the range of around 4 years or so, 4 years to around 6 years to complete. Either way, it gives you a from 2 to around 200 to around 800, pretty good return, right? The good thing is when it's listed in the exchange, you don't need to invest the whole amount. You can actually borrow against it up to 90% of its value. So the simulation there is this. If let's say you bought 100 square meters, right? Or 100 discount vouchers that would allow you to be able to purchase 1 square meter at a 99% discount, the cost would be $204. This would go to the development of the foundation of the smart city. Your total investment would be $20,000, of which you can borrow 90%, right? So your exposure would be a fraction of that, $2,000 only, right? And you'd have the full 100 square meters, but of course you'd have to pay interest on that. Now, either way, it's $20,000. And once, let's say, the building is about to be built and the developer says, okay, we're pre-selling. If the property is 100 square meters, you would only need to pay 1% of the value of the title. If it's 200 square meters, you can use the hundreds vouchers for half of the property, and the other half you'd have to pay in cash. If it's 50 square meters, you would have the remaining 50 balance that you can hold onto for future development, or you can sell it in the exchange. So that's one approach that we have, right, to a smart city development. The most difficult part of which is raising funds for the foundation, because there's just no funds anymore right now in the Philippines for such large investments. This is one of the ways by which we want to be able to make it grow. Now, this, of course, is just how it's offered to the public. But what we're thinking is, okay, how do we then package this to make it compelling for people to come in? And how do we leverage an existing regulation to make it compelling for somebody to come into the zone, or at least register into a platform that then gets them residency into the zone, and they can use those funds in order to be able to invest in projects such as this. So that's why we came up with an idea for Oz. I don't know if you guys know this, but the Wizard of Oz, it is the most viewed movie in the planet. Surprisingly, I didn't think that was the case. I thought it would be Titanic or something like that, but it turns out to be the Wizard of Oz. And Oz is something that resonates with us, because if everybody can identify with it, the crypto community needs these visuals to be able to understand what it is, right? So Echo Zones represents what we wanted blockchain to be, and our relationship with AFAB and what we got the approval for represents a road to be able to lead that life, the life that we always wanted, that blockchain should have brought into the forefront. But unfortunately, due to the large corporations and the financial institutions leveraging on the technology, that probably might not even happen, right? So Oz became an idea for us to be able to offer decentralized financial services. In other words, to set up a decentralized bank that would serve the needs of this ecozone and all of the other 500 ecozones in the Philippines, and then bring into the fold the other ecozones around the world. So allow me to share with you our idea for Oz. So Oz or Oz.finance is structured to be a decentral bank. So it's, in simple terms, it's a DeFi platform that has a specific purpose. And when you put funds into this platform and you submit your KYC, once it reaches a certain threshold, including GTX, mind you, you can opt in to be a resident or of the zone, and you can register your business for tax-free incentives. And we're also trying to find a way to register yourself as an entity in order to receive those same incentives. Okay. So this is the idea of Oz. Let me share this with you for a moment here so you have an idea of what we're about and what we want to be able to achieve. And I think this resonates with everybody that is an American as well that's in this group. Have a look.
Amidst the current economic, financial, and social uncertainties exacerbated by the pandemic, it is clear that the existing political and economic structures are challenged by the growing global crisis. Quantitative easing is causing the devaluation of currencies. Policy restrictions, coupled with increased taxation, is causing large-scale capital flight. Unemployment brought about by the pandemic is causing economic instability across nations. These are the harsh realities we face today. We need solutions that would offer better alternatives than what the existing financial and capital markets can offer. Oz Finance aims to address the systemic problems by leveraging on an enhanced ecozone policy, coupled with decentralized finance and decentralized exchange technology. Oz shall bring the following benefits to its community. Oz projects and citizens may access real-time credit backed by digital assets. This allows anyone to avail of a loan at a click of a button, offering unprecedented convenience versus traditional models. Oz projects and citizens also have access to retail and institutional capital through trusted channels. Any business may raise funds in a structured environment where the release of funds are managed by smart contracts, ensuring timely and trusted delivery of the project. The Oz community has access to higher-yielding finance instruments that can be applied to any type of digital asset. Oz projects may also operate in a near zero to zero tax environment, making it easier to seed and grow the business. Oz individuals are registered under the Oz Ecozone regulation that protects the privacy of each individual while meeting the requirements of global regulators. Finally, upon meeting specific requirements, Oz members may easily opt to become an operator, resident, or citizen of any member ecozone. It's time to live the life we've always wanted, where we have access to financial services with minimum friction cost, where capital flows freely, where businesses enjoy near zero tax incentives, and where our privacy is protected. With this, we invite you to be part of the Oz ecosystem and make open zone living a reality for yourself, your family, and your business. Register now. Oz Finance. Open zone living in a decentralized world.
Yeah, so the idea there is simple. You know, what we want is to offer. We want to duplicate the relationship that we have with AFAB to all of the other ecozones in the Philippines.
Ethereum is forming a cup and handle here, and it points to a...
Sorry about that. So we want to duplicate that relationship to all of the other ecozones. And what we're thinking is, if we are able to do so, we can offer a very simple onboarding platform for you to gain residency into this kind of living. The question there is, how do we bring people to join the community, and what is the value proposition to these ecozones? It's a simple value. It's a simple exchange. We are asking the ecozone to give us residency for a certain amount in investment. Of course, considering our size, we are requesting for a lower amount. The second is we are requesting for tax-free living, or near zero tax-free, which they're already giving to their existing community, but we're asking if you can fast track it for our community. And the third is we're asking them to respect their privacy, considering that governments right now are clamping down on our freedoms. And I'm sure we can all identify with that in one way or another. Ecozones offers an avenue by which your identity is protected and your activities are not exposed to the public. Mind you, the Philippines is the only country next to, I think the other country is Tuvalu, that has a bank secrecy. So you cannot view into the assets, or at least the bank records of anyone at all. So which makes us quite ideal for an idea and a concept such as this, right? Now, we have those three asks, but we also have three gives. So what are the three gives? These are the three C's that we give. First, we provide you capital, right? Our community through GTX and through Oz invests in various projects through our what we call a bonding curve token offering. And the second is we offer credit through the exchange as well. Third is community. And we intend to build this community through a bonding curve token offering. That's a whole different discussion, but it incentivizes people to onboard other individuals onto the platform, and it increases the value of the token directly proportionate to the number of people who participate in the community. And in the end, what it does is it establishes a liquidity pool that functions as a decentral bank that will provide credit and capital to the members of Oz. Hence, the members being the individuals and the member ecozones. So yeah, so to summarize, what's Oz Living to us? It's ecozones plus DeFi Index is Oz Living, where we enjoy tax-free living, or tax-free incentives. Our privacy is respected. We have access to credit, capital. We have a community that believes in the same thing, and we are able to exercise governance over our over the zones that we participate in.
What's the minimum amount of investment?
What's the amount?
A minimum amount?
The amount in Oz, or for $75,000, you can gain investor visa.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
We're anticipating that with the word out, that will be our main push, especially to Chinese nationals. If you put in $75,000 in value into GTX or into Oz, we can process your residency into AFAB as the first participating eco zone in the Oz community.
Okay.